Hello and welcome to Virtually There at Oxford Brookes University. We're representing the Maths department here today to talk about our degrees, our undergraduate degrees in mathematical sciences. I'm Rachel Long, I'm the programme lead for mathematics. I'll introduce you, or let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Rachel Lumley and I'm a second year maths student studying at Oxford Brookes.
Hi there, my name's Nathan. I'm a third year student studying a mathematics BSc.
Hi, I'm probably not a student, as you can tell from my grey hair. My name is Stuart Chidley. I'm the subject coordinator for mathematics and a senior lecturer as well. I teach across all years of our degrees.
Great, thank you very much. So the reason that we're here today is to give people a chance to find out a little bit about our courses, our facilities, our resources, the students, the staff, life at Oxford Brookes and so on. The idea being they may not be able to come to an open day, so this would give them the chance to ask all of the questions that they want to ask. So if you do have any questions, you will find scrolling along the bottom of the screen from time to time some contact details for you to send us in any live questions you have. I think we'll kick off though by just having a chat about our courses and what makes them different. So Stuart, what do you think makes our courses different from anyone else's?
Well, my presence, clearly. But I think the biggest difference to me is the fact that we have such a big emphasis on mathematical modelling running through our degrees. So we spend a lot of time teaching students from year one how to solve real life problems, because we anticipate that our graduates are going to want to work in industries where that's something they might be asked to do. So we spend a lot of time teaching students the basic principles in year one, and then we try and build on those in years 2 and 3 and encourage our students to take modelling projects and really develop their interests as they go. Not that students have to do that, but that's what we really want our students to take from our degrees that possibly other places don't quite focus on in the same way.
Is that something that you guys have enjoyed about your course?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed seeing how the real life acts, how maths is brought into the real life, and to be able to now look at problems you come across when you're out and about, and then you can see how maths is really incorporated into it.
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause it's nice to have, there's a lot of sort of theoretical modules to an extent, but there's no sort of like slog of getting through the sort of textbook examples constantly. There's always some sort of applied element to the problem we're solving, which kind of relates it back to the real world. And there's less of a sort of, why are we learning this idea you used to have in school and stuff.
Yeah, in fact that's one of the advanced questions that came in before today. Somebody has asked, can you give some examples of the applications that are covered in particular modules? So Stuart, you teach differential equations. What sort of applications do you look at there?
So we start off with fairly simple ones. It might be the movement of a spring, talk about the displacement, talk about the acceleration, because that's simple and is probably a science experiment that we've all seen at school. Murder mysteries are quite a good fun one. Yeah. You can start looking at predicting the how long a body's been dead by the temperature of it, and that's always a fun one. You put yourself down as a murder victim or a member of staff you don't like who's nicked your coffee in the morning and bump them off. That's always quite good fun. By the time we get to more complicated modules and say partial differential equations, we can look at the movement of a fluid, we can look at the movement of waves on a string, and we can look at how sine waves are reflected, which is quite cool. Ultimately end up in a really colourful, pretty picture, and that's all you really want when you're studying maths, isn't it, really? Let's be fair.
What about the applications that you've seen in modules that you've taken? Is there anything that stands out?
So specifically in the first year, which you said you sort of build the sort of base knowledge, but there's also quite a lot of modelling modules. So there's modelling and computation, which we studied. And I remember the first piece of coursework for that was to model the outbreak of a zombie apocalypse using disease models, which sounds sort of bizarre, but it's really sort of good application of it and keeps it quite simple and nice. And
I'm pretty sure every group killed me off as part of that plague, actually, when you did the presentation at the end of the module, which was
I believe
fun for me.
So a fairly standard application, I guess, of sort of studying the spread of a disease, so the zombies are just to try and make it a little bit more lighthearted.
Might happen.
Yeah.
You know, one day it might happen.
At least we're prepared.
Rachel, how about you?
So we came across looking at queuing systems, which I found really interesting, and how they can be improved. And we used quite a lot of a software. Oh, what's it called again?
Witness,
that was it. Yeah, Witness 9, that was it. And we used that quite a lot to look at the arrival rates and service rates, and then we could look to see if we could use a different modelling system to improve, so there was less queuing system. And I thought it was really interesting.
Useful as well.
Yeah, really useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some other questions that have come in. We've got some very general questions about what life is like in Oxford as a student, and Stuart and I probably aren't the best people to answer that question. So, what is life like in Oxford as a student?
So Oxford as a city is probably based around students, I'd
Yeah,
say, because there's two universities, two fairly big universities, which are like right in the heart of Oxford.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like there's sort of most of Central Oxford is built around university and is sort of catered for students. So within such a small space, like Oxford is a tiny city comparative to, like, I can go home to Basingstoke and it's like 5 times the size and it's just all housing. But Oxford is just all centralised and lovely, and if you've got a bike you can get anywhere in 5-10 minutes, and there's just everything to do as well.
What about finding accommodation? Has that been fairly straightforward?
Yeah, I've had no issues.
No problems at all. Really, there's lots of different estate agents out there, student estate agents, which will help you look for a suitable property within your price range. So there's quite a lot of, like, so Oxford is quite an expensive city in some ways, but there are definitely affordable houses.
Yeah, definitely. I think comparative to, it gets a bad rap for being expensive, but comparative to like my friends in London who just rented private flats, because a lot of Oxford is actual student letting. A lot of it is catered for it and priced accordingly. So I've never paid a ridiculous amount. I think I've always paid a fair amount and had houses sorted in like a day or two. Just have a viewing and do it, because there's an absolute wealth of them. There's so many student houses available. But yeah, I think it's easy enough.
Okay, and what about the nightlife? What's that like?
Never.
It's great. Quite a busy nightlife, quite a lot to do on this. Quite a lot of, so most nights there's like 2 events going on.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So you've got quite a choice, and because there's lots of students in Oxford, the nightlife is just full of students. So people your own age, and it's fab.
Yeah,
love it.
And if the sort of generic kind of clubbing isn't your thing, there's a lot of sort of actual events. Like the music scene in Oxford's got really good in the last like 2 years alone. Like it's become a bit more of a sort of like touring stop for bands and stuff. So there's constantly good things on the sort of Cowley Road area and stuff. So there's always plenty to do.
And there's lots of bars and clubs which are always like quite lively and quite happy, nice situation to go into.
And affordable as well, which is nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I have to say, occasionally we have the odd social or two where some students go out
Occasionally
together,
do a bit
which
of
is
studying
always
as well.
study as well, yeah. Okay, so that's life outside of university. What about life inside university? What sort of activities are there other than your studies? What sort of things can you get involved in?
So there's lots of sports and societies to get into. Personally, I was part of the dance society, which ran, so we went to like weekly classes and stuff. There's also a new Oxford that's just started, which is
that's good too.
so that's run twice a week, where it's like a group fitness session. Then there's lots of societies for people that aren't into it. So there's like
there's hundreds. I remember going to the Freshers Fair, and there was like a cake and tea society, and it was just like a little tea set there, and it was just 2 of them sat there giving out cups of tea and signing you up for it.
Why do I not know about this?
Yeah. Your staff are allowed to join.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a good social life, a good vibrant social life in Oxford, and there's lots going on around the university. What about actually within the maths department? Within the, how are things in the maths department?
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. So you mean extracurricular stuff within sort of maths?
Whatever.
Yeah.
What's it like?
Because there's plenty. So there's the Cinemath thing, which happens. Is that every Thursday? Yeah, every Thursday, and that's sort of, it's just to come in and watch a film and have a chat. Well, not
A
chat
maths
during
film?
the film,
Watch a maths film?
all maths based, but not in the sort of documentary sense. It's the sort of
It's the occasional Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah. With a loose base
It's got
of
the
maths
quadratic
around
form
it.
in it, which qualifies as maths. Fine.
Close enough.
But there's that. There's a modelling team as well, which Armando heads up. Yeah. Armando's great as well. Armando's a volcanologist, is he not?
If you like it, you can always pick him.
You can indeed. Yeah. So all of our lecturers, I'd like to think, are very good, including Stuart and myself. But yes, Armando is very good.
Yeah.
Don't answer that.
We've got a live question that's
Lovely.
come in. So I am coming from India, and I want to know how many students there are on the mathematics courses. Do you have many students from different countries? I'm guessing I might take this one, actually. So the maths cohort here at Brookes is actually quite small. We have a very small team of students and a fairly small team of staff, a very close-knit community of staff and students. When it comes to students from different countries, yeah, we do. We have students at the moment who come from countries in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. I can't think of any Americans or Australians but we certainly do have students from different countries.
Certainly get a couple from China and India most years. Definitely this last year.
Not uncommon.
No.
Not uncommon at all. Okay, so let's have a look at the course itself. What specialist software have you had the opportunity to
So
Yeah.
I've been using a lot of MATLAB recently, which I think some
Good
people who know of it, that'll strike fear into you. But I actually kind of love it.
You had a good teacher.
Yeah, I showed Stuart this morning my my project work, and I finished my coding for that, and I was, as you can tell, I was like delighted.
becomes
I was
master.
so proud.
And what's your project looking at?
So my project looks at the mathematics behind Google and the PageRank algorithm in general, so sort of how it determines which websites should come first in the web search results after you do it. But I basically set up something which creates an imaginary set of, so an imaginary web graph, so an imaginary set of web pages which in some way link to each other, and then it runs the algorithm on that and shows you which most important ones are within that list, which
Fabulous. It
I'm pretty
sounds really
delighted with.
interesting.
Yeah.
What about other pieces of software? Rachel's already mentioned
Yeah.
Witness that we've used. Other things that you've used?
So I've come across Mathematica.
Yeah,
We've used that quite a bit.
that's nice.
Um,
So SPSS as well for statistics as well,
definitely.
which
Yeah.
is, yeah, that's really useful actually. And there was the other statistics one,
Minitab.
Minitab, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Minitab with Reza. That was good fun. But yeah.
So we try to use industry standard software wherever
Yeah.
we possibly can, so that as soon as students go out there into the employment market, if an employer wants you to be able to use a particular piece of software, then it's really good if you've already used the industry standard software
Yeah.
wherever we
I
possibly
mean, encourage
can.
our students to use LaTeX, which I hasten to add is a mathematical writing package,
Yeah.
just to make their report writings a little bit more professional than just handwriting their reports, because that's a key skill again when you graduate and go into a real job or teaching or industry, wherever you are. It's always good to be able to communicate effectively your mathematics.
Fabulous. So we have another live question that's come in. How many female students are there studying mathematics? I guess we're following on from the engineers. Life's a little bit different in maths. How many female students would you say there are?
There's quite a few. And there's quite a lot.
I'd say
Very
that-
precise.
I would say half and half.
I'd say in my year it might be majority,
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
I think possibly in your year there are.
Yeah.
I'd say 50-50, but
I would
I
say
think I don't think we ever have quite the 50-50 split. I think most years are 60-40 one way or the other, and the average is 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it varies from year to year. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of females
It was the one
around.
thing I was really worried about when I was coming to university, about being the only girl, because at school I was the only girl that did maths and further maths, so therefore I was always in class
Yeah,
with
my
boys.
level there was one girl in my whole
Yeah.
class,
Right.
which was
So I was really
bizarre.
worried about me being the only girl, but I've come to university and there's loads of them. So
Yeah,
great.
Good stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, so we've got some questions come in about the combined honours courses. So at Brooks, it's possible to combine mathematics with some other subjects. So first of all, which subjects can we combine mathematics with? So I'm going to hand this one to Stuart.
Just don't ask me to in alphabetical order. Okay, so there's business management, there's education studies, computer science, music and philosophy. There's the 5 other subjects that you can combine with. And I guess every year we have, I reckon about a third of our cohort is probably made up of combined honours students,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
reckon so.
The popularity of different ones changes on the year, but music's always very popular.
Yeah, music and
Business
business
as well, yeah,
I think they're the
definitely.
top two.
Definitely, there's always a philosophy student, which is quite good fun to talk to them about the point of homework.
And computer science as well. I see quite a few
Oh, yeah,
computer
true.
science students.
Definitely had a
Yeah.
lot this last 2
Yeah,
years.
my modules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
nice. It's nice because when you get to the 3rd year and you get round to projects, if people have already got a very good knowledge of computer programming, they can get straight into their projects and you can get some really quite funky stuff done very
Yeah,
early on,
Right.
which is cool.
definitely.
I like that.
But it's not essential to do any
No.
programming as part of your project. Are you looking to do a project, Rachel?
I'm in the not sure whether I'm going to do it or not.
That's a no.
But if I was, I'd definitely go into more discrete maths. So I'm
Okay,
thinking
possibly
of-
not so much programming.
But
No,
a
not
lot
so
of people
much.
ask me, because I mentioned that I'm doing a project or a dissertation or the equivalent, and the question I constantly get is, what do you do a dissertation on in mathematics?
Right.
Because all my friends study like history and the sort of more, I suppose their dissertations is just 10,000 words of references and sort of making an argument and stuff. Whereas maths, I think, almost gives you more flexibility, because you can look at anything. Like, we got the list of the recommended titles or things that the members of staff are studying. But if you have an idea and you've
Well, the
got
chances are if you come to us with an idea, we'll find something. I can't think of
Yeah.
anybody who's ever come to me and said, I want to do something in this area, and I've ever
You said no.
been defeated
Yeah.
or not been able to point them towards somebody who could do something. So yeah, I mean, even if somebody came to me and said, I want to look at the motion of clouds, brilliant, we could have an awesome project on that. There's some
Yeah.
quite complex maths behind it.
that person.
Yeah, so Rachel, if you want to look at clouds for the coming year.
Okay. Another question then that's come in. Will students doing combined honours have to attend all tutorials? How many tutorials will I have to attend? So I guess it would help here to talk about the structure of our course and how things work. So we teach in 8 modules per year. Students typically take 8 modules per year, 4 per semester ideally. And for each of those 4 modules, you would have 3 hours of contact time. And that would include a mixture of lectures and tutorials and seminars. We sort of try to mix things up a little bit, and we'll have different styles of teaching for different courses that are going on.
Yeah.
Stuart, how do you tend to organise your classes?
So we teach in a 3-hour block. So I like to, when I first started here, we normally have 2 hours of lecture and an hour of practical. And I noticed that quite often if you finished after the 2 hours, there'd be students who wanted to stay and students who wanted to leave. And I don't like that. So so I wanted to try and make sure the tutorial came somewhere in the middle so people could leave on me. So I organised my classes as probably about an hour and a half of lecture with about a 45-minute practical and then about 45 minutes at the end again. Because I think it breaks up. There's only so long you can listen to me for. I mean, as interesting as I undoubtedly am, everyone gets fed up of me after a while, including my wife. So after about an hour and a half, I think there's a good opportunity to just bring things down right, think about what we've done, get out of the mode of listening and try and get into the mode of doing and consolidate what you've done.
It very much varies from class to class though. So Rachel was part of my further discrete maths module last semester when there wasn't any lecturing, was there?
No, so that was quite a bit like, so you did your pre-reading and then we came to the lectures and we actually all had we worked in groups with whiteboards. So we have a maths lab which is just walls are just whiteboards. So we set off with some whiteboard pens and worked through loads of questions with help from Rachel.
Maybe that's a good point for us to touch on the maths lab.
Yeah. So the facilities that are available to maths students, we do have our maths lab, which is a room, as Rachel has said, that's full of whiteboards. It's got no windows, lots and lots of whiteboards, and it's used for various different purposes. So I used it with discrete maths to get students to actually do the presenting on the whiteboards rather than us doing it myself. I know other lecturers use it to actually write on the whiteboards themselves, and then students use it as a social learning space as well, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, exam time it's always just absolutely covered. You know, it tends to be sort of people in there just trying to help each other out, which is always quite nice.
Yeah. I spent quite a lot of time in there towards the exams in the last semester, just before Christmas, and we'd all sit there and we'd just work, because sometimes you'd have questions that go on for ages and ages, so you'd just go from whiteboard to whiteboard and you just work your way around the room.
Fabulous. Okay, so we've had a couple of live questions have come in. Can you explain the difference between the BSc and the Mmath? Stuart, I'm going to hand this one to you.
Okay, so the BSc is a 3-year course. It's designed for students, I guess, who want a really good grounding in mathematics, maybe want to use numeracy or some elements of mathematics in their career, but possibly don't want to be mathematicians. Whereas the 4-year course is designed for those who want a really, really strong background in maths, probably see their future in an area of research or really see themselves as mathematicians. So that's kind of how our students decide what they want to do in the first place. The 3-year course, again, we look to develop a lot of key skills in a wide range of areas, but we don't try and specialise. We try and give people a good breadth of knowledge, but without really specifying so much depth. Whereas the Mmath is a good opportunity to give people, we'll give you the breadth across the first 3 years, but then in the 4th year we can really hammer home some key knowledge and make you a little bit more aware of more modern techniques of mathematics that students can take with them to the job market, or again they could take with them to, say, a PhD or maybe an MSc if they wanted to.
And it's very easy for students to switch between the two, isn't it? So they might arrive wanting to study for a BSc and then change their minds and stay on for the extra.
Wouldn't be uncommon, would it, for students to arrive thinking that they want to do one thing but maybe keeping their options open.
Right.
And as far as the Mmath goes, that we're allowed to transfer at the end of the first year and the second year, I believe. So you've got plenty of time to make your mind up before you decide to actually take your final degree option.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we've had a question come in about the sort of salary that students can expect to once they graduate and what sort of jobs they can go into. So it just so happens I've got some facts and figures on the table in front
what
of
a
me.
surprise.
Very conveniently. Our average typical salary range is in the 16 to 24,000 range, so approximately £20,000 a year on average for a salary on graduation. Obviously it would depend on whether you'd got the BSc or the Mmath, what sort of job you were going into. So what sort of jobs do our students go into, Stuart?
We get a lot of people who want to teach because that's very popular. There's a big shortage of teachers at the moment, particularly in STEM subjects. And there's a lot of attractive options for taking up teacher training, such as the bursary from the government, and there's guaranteed employment at the end of that. I see an increasing number of people want to do finance as well. People who maybe want to go into actuarial science, work with banks as well. A couple of people have gone into insurance. I had a fantastic student the other year who did a great project on predicting the outcome of American football matches. He was a massive NFL fan. And on the back of the basis of that dissertation, he got a job working for a bookmaker, modelling the outcome of sporting events, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I should still be in contact with him, really. I might get some inside information. And apart from that, we get a lot of people who want to do further study. It's very common to get people wanting to do taught or research masters these days. I must sign off about 7 or 8 references each year for students wanting to do that, and that's always nice to see. It's nice to think that you've helped them maybe get a bit of a love for the subject, or encourage them to know a little bit more than maybe they learn across, say, 3 or maybe 4 years with us.
Nathan, it's not that long till you graduate. Any plans for the future?
I was about to say, I think that was my new reference as well, because I'm probably, I think I'm pretty set on doing a taught masters.
Cool.
Just because before university I took 2 years out because I wasn't particularly sure what I wanted to do, and like I'd always enjoyed mathematics and education, but I wasn't really set on it. And it was sort of the fees changed, and there was all the sort of hubbub about university. But I've come here and I would not change it for the world. Like, I've really enjoyed my time, and I don't want to stop now. Like, I don't think I'm ready to stop learning and developing what I know. So yeah.
And how about you, Rachel?
So I'm planning to go into teaching. From very young, I always knew that I wanted to be a maths teacher. So I was debating whether or not to do a combined honours and do a maths and education degree, but I actually decided just to do the maths and then do the PGCE because I love maths.
And we recently had a teaching event, didn't we, that was to give students some information about going into to teaching as a career. Stuart, can you tell us a bit more about that one?
Yeah, so every year we must have 5 or 6 people at least from each year group talk about getting into teaching. They want advice from ourselves. And we know a bit. We've had students over the years go into it. We've had contact with people who do Twitch PGCEs in Brooks, and equally know a little bit ourselves from our career path. But because we haven't gone into schools, we don't know everything that students might need. So myself and my colleague Carlos invited one of our graduates in who has gone into teaching about 2 years ago to talk about the pathway that she followed. We invited a lady from the careers service to give students a bit more information about the different pathways available. And we also had another colleague who'd been a teacher in schools before she came to work with us to do a set of presentations to the students, just to give them an idea of what a teaching career is like, warts and all. You get a lot of scare stories and a lot of good stories in the news, and it's difficult if you're on the outside potentially to know what to expect. So we wanted to debunk some of the myths around teaching and give people a good idea of what they would need to write on their application and what they'd need to have to be attractive to somebody offering a PGC or a school wanting to train on the job. And I think it went quite well, although I haven't had any formal feedback, but the students seem to smile quite widely, and the 8 people that I've spoken to since have all said that they definitely want to apply for a PGCE, so I can only assume it was a success.
Yeah.
So
and we'll be looking at putting on similar events in the future for different careers. So as we find out that students, if there's a mass of students that want to do a particular career, then we'll try and get people in to talk to them about that particular career. So sort of getting towards the end of our time here in the studio, I wanted to ask Stuart, what's your favourite part of teaching maths?
The end of semester. I like seeing the journey of people across the 3 years. Maths attracts a wide variety of characters. You see people in week 1, year 1 who are bubbly, shy, quiet, retiring, outgoing. You see a wide mass of people. And generally by the time you get to the 3rd year, you've seen everyone grow a lot. So there's generally a lot more maturity around the 3rd years. But equally, some people who've been very shy and lacking confidence when they first start have done well, and across the 3 years, by the end of it, they're brimming with confidence and they're not quite as quiet as they were, and they've made a nice core group of friends. And you've been on that journey with them, and you've seen that transformation across the 3 years. And for me, that I love that. I really like that. If we worked in a department with, say, 200 students in each year group and 50 members of staff, I might see people here and there, and I wouldn't see that, whereas I feel like I'm on the journey with them, and I really like that aspect. I wouldn't change that for anything.
It does give us a nice opportunity to support the students. So what support is there for students?
Ooh, I thought you were asking the students,
Yeah.
and I got away with it.
Sorry.
Oh, never
You can go
mind.
for that. I think
Just quickly.
Just quickly, so from my point of view, we offer the practical every week. We've got the lectures where we give the information. There's the opportunity to try questions in class and ask for help. We all give office hours out, 2 hours a week, and we try to move them into the maths lab because, again, it's nice to use the whiteboard space, but equally you can encourage students to work in groups if they're all having the same problem. We have the Cinemath events, which I know is a social, but again gives us talking to people, and we can potentially organise help sessions based on that. And I can see that we're out of time, so I will
We
shut
are
up.
out of time indeed, so I'm going to encourage you, if you do have any further questions, please do get in touch. You've got our contact details, and thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.